We're off to get a couple of the last two planned jobs done on the boat, maintenance and improvements before we start the season. Going up to the yacht club, one of the benefits there is they have these working slips that give you, almost a 300-degree walk around on the boat to be able to take care of anything at the waterline, which is important for us this go around because we were replacing our through holes, which are plastic.
Yes.
After 10 years, they get brittle, and if they break,
bad things can happen.
Water can start coming in the boat, or worse yet, water that we're trying to get off the boat starts coming in the boat. Not good.
Not good.
What else?
So we're going to replace it with stainless steel.
That's
so
right.
We won't have the plastic anymore. That will solve that problem.
Indefinitely.
But there is 25 of them, so it's going to be a little bit of a chore.
Yeah. It'll be a full day if we're lucky. I have a hunch it's going to be 2 days. Join us on the Elli-Yacht as we realize our 5-year plan with the kids. Grown up, moved out, graduated from college. We take the dog, sold everything, and kitted out the boat so we can cruise the Pacific Northwest, all while living and working in the heart of Seattle. Snug slip. With 2 fenders in the front so we don't bang up against the dock. Just enough on both sides to be able to get awesome access. So these are the through holes that we chose. They're an American-made 316L stainless steel made by Groco. That's who made all of our brass sea strainers and sea caulks, so we just stuck with them as a brand. They have really good ratings. If you take a look at it, it's pretty straightforward. Here's your through hole. This is an 1.5-inch one. When you put them on, you'd use a 4000 or 4200. And it has a nice ridge here so that when you put the sealant on, it kind of creates its own gasket right in that area. The threads are beautiful. A lot of the ones that are made outside of the country are cast, and then the threads aren't cleaned afterwards, and so they don't thread very well. And the last thing you need to do is have your head behind a fuel tank, putting on a through hole, and not have the threads going on. So this particular collar that screws on is pretty slick. They are a little bit thin, so it was difficult to get the wrench on these, especially when the hole wasn't flat. That was a bit of a challenge when you put these particular ones on. They also have a grounding point for if you need to bond those to your electrical system. If they're underwater, you definitely need to do that. Now here's the trick. When you put this on, you have your sealant going on and you're screwing this. You can imagine that this could turn on you. So there's a couple options. One, it has a notch here. You could put a screwdriver across this to be able to get some leverage from the inside of the boat when you're putting this on and tightening up the bolt, and that way you don't have the through hole turning on you. The other option is this handy dandy tool right here made by Groco, and it has this graduated notch on each one of them, so every different size of through hole that you might have. You'll notice on the inside of this there are some notches, and the reason those exist is so that you can put this tool on. They feed right into that notch. It creates this nice tight fitting. So as you're cranking this together on the inside of the hole and you're really cranking it down, you can have somebody on the outside. It just has this nice hole in it. You can put a screwdriver through it for leverage, and between the two of you, you can really crank these down. So that's what that tool is for. If you work in a boatyard or if you built boats, you'd probably have one of these hanging on the workbench or right next to you at any given time. This is one of those things, hopefully I never have to put another through hole in this boat in my entire life, and probably go on eBay. And then watch, then I'll need it again. Just like when we downsize, there's a ton of stuff I got rid of that I needed again, but that's the way it goes, and I don't like paying for storage, so it's better to just get rid of it. So that's how that works. Okay, here's what we did here. We made little COVID masks for every one of our through holes. not really, but it's gonna make the cleanup really easy when we put the caulk on the back of these and put them through the hole. We have 5/8, we have 3/4, we have 1 inch, we have 1.25 inches, and we have 1.5 inches. There's 25 of these bad boys all over the boat. So this should be fun. So these are Groco through holes made in the United States, 100% stainless steel. But crazy thing, talk about COVID times. If you try to get these at West Marine, 25 of these things would cost me roughly $1,500, which is insanely expensive. I went online and I was able to get them from Ultimate Passage as well as iBoat, because neither of them had all the different sizes that I needed in stock, because I had so many of them in varied sizes. I was able to get them for about $550. So prices are just going insane for all the new inventory that's coming out of Groco, as well as they're hard to get. So if you have what I call new old stock, that's where we were able to find these. So I think we got lucky, but it's getting kind of silly right now getting things for the boat. So knock on wood, we have most of our projects done before the rush starts for getting everything fixed on everybody's boats. And if you've got something that you're going to be doing, my advice is get it done now, or at least get the parts now, because the supply chain kind of stinks.
You're done on this?
If that center part, because what happens is I get squirrely. Yeah, it's going to come too close to the edge.
I can put another piece of tape.
Yeah, that's smart. Okay, yeah, you're right.
It's not cutting.
Oh, the guard got pushed down.
Pick it up.
Yeah. Does that make sense? There's a guard.
Mm-hmm.
And it should... Oh, it slides. Oh!
Oh!
That's not it.
That's not it.
It's
like a little razor blade. So we have this, which will protect the sides of the through hole, and then we put this on the boat. But first we've got to get these two pieces out before we can put the new ones in. So John's on the inside trying to saw the inside part out, and then we'll pry these ones out. It's hard to get out, isn't it? So we've got 2 in and 23 to go. Here's one of the through holes that we took out, and you can just see how brittle it is, and it was starting to come apart as they were taking it out. Got one done. John's working on these ones, getting these ones out. Screwdriver?
Yeah. So our first real curveball, the 5/8 flange for these new stainless steel Grocos is the same size as the 3/4 inch. Problem is, the plastic ones that came with the boat were smaller. So we have to drill them out, but there's no way to have a guide because the hole is already there. So this little piece of starboard, drilled a couple holes in it. We're gonna drill, screw this to, there's a plywood flange in here that's laying on top of the fiberglass hull. And it gives me a good 1/2 inch to work with. And so these screws on this piece will bite into the plywood, but it won't go through and into the hull. And the good part is we then have a nice sturdy piece of starboard to be able to create a guide hole in, and then drill through the hull for the larger flange on the 5/8. And I'm glad we figured this out, because we have 5 of these we have to do. So we've got to work around. Thank goodness I had this little piece of starboard left over, and we'll be making a ton of these. 100%. Okay. So some of these hoses, especially these solvent-based fluid hoses, they're pretty stiff. And getting them back on these new through holes, which are just a little bit bigger because they have barbs on them and the last ones didn't. They're too tight, and you want to get them all the way on. So we're using a little bit of dielectric grease, and I put that on the actual barbs of the through hole, and then we heat up the hose with a heat gun, and that gets them to stretch a little bit, and boom, they go right on. So pro tip number 2, semi-pro tip, whatever, you get it. So we have 5 done, but now it gets serious. We have 7 of these in the head on the starboard side. But before we can start tearing these out, we need to number each one of them, because with 7 of them, it's going to be super easy to get confused as to which one goes back where. We'll say one thing for Navigator. That is all fiberglass laid up on the hull. This is up at the front starboard side. It's just amazing how thick this is, and there is no coring on this. That is all glass mat and resin. Pretty amazing. After a solid 2 hours of getting the plastic through holes out, it's time to put stainless back in. 7 pretty maids in a row. It took a bit of time. Turned out exactly how I wanted it. It was a lot of work, but worth all the effort. That was a full 12-hour day with 2 people. So it's not for the light of heart on undertaking. Thank goodness they didn't use 5200. Now it's time to get all that cleaned up, make her shine.